I'm live, just so you know.
Sorry, I might be grunting and saying "oh" from time to time. I'm successfully coding today.
I wasn't sure what you were about to say, so I was like, I'm live.
No,
Okay.
no, you're good. I'm just enthused because I'm learning.
Okay, I wasn't sure what you were up to exactly. Okay. It is Monday. It is an art day. Instead of painting today, though, we are trying to finish up Christmas gifts frantically. So, we are attempting to finish my mom's today. I got a little bit of it worked on off stream, just working on the edges here. I still have to finish a little bit on this edge, and I have to do this edge entirely. I have a piece of parchment down today because I'm hoping that we will be able to get the Mod Podge on. Mod Podge. Keep adding extra syllables to them. Bless you. Bless you. Um, so, to put the sealer on, I'm gonna have to be doing the sides, and I didn't want to accidentally glue it to my desk, so that's what we're doing there. So, I'm gonna try to finish up our sides here. So, we're just using some tacky glue here. Water-based, non-toxic tacky glue that you can get on your hands, because it will most likely happen where you will be wearing some of it on your fingertips. I do apologize if there's a commotion in a little bit, as the mother-in-law and her sister have decided they're going to come back and be arriving right in the middle of us streaming, so that may happen. And they don't temper their voice volume at all, so hopefully the microphone with the suppressors doesn't pick them up, but there's a chance. I'm gonna put that over there just so it doesn't get too weird. I'm just drying that off on the mouse pad I have underneath of my microphone. Like, why not, right? Alright, so after rinsing the glue out of the brush, we will work on getting our tissue paper laid in. Again, this is just basic ass gift wrapping paper, like gift wrapping tissue. Like, nothing fancy about it whatsoever. Just, whatever you would shove in a gift bag or in a gift box. Nothing special. Fairly inexpensive, depending on how many colors you need, put it that way. And after Christmas, I'm going to be able to start my big tissue paper project, because I'm not allowed to have the supplies until then, which doesn't really matter at the moment because I still have to finish Christmas gifts being made, so it's probably good that I don't have access to it. So, because we still have to finish the husband's axolotl. Did a couple of bonus streams on that over the weekend. I was gonna do a couple this week. We'll see how my schedule looks, because I usually make Christmas cookies, and at first we weren't gonna do them, but then I was like, you know what? I've got my gingerbread. I also kind of want sugar cookies too. I'm not usually in the mood for sugar cookies, so I kind of surprised myself in wanting them, but I kind of want them this year. And husband's like, we can do that. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. So, because he kind of wants some too. So, Thursday, I'm going to be making cookies. I might be making cookies on Friday too. It depends on how many batches of cookies I get through. Because I have a double batch of gingerbread, a double batch of sugar, quite possibly a double batch of peanut butter blossoms, and maybe a double batch of chocolate chips. So I just don't know how long that's gonna take me to get through in the day. Kind of depends on when I start. Oh, does the boy want any chocolate or any cookies?
I can ask him.
Okay. Since we're gonna be seeing him on Saturday, we have to bring his sign. We have to go to our not really adopted son, Tyler's graduation for one of his degrees on Saturday. Oh, right, I forgot about that. So I might not be able to do a bonus stream on Saturday. Oh, shit. I completely forgot. Like, yeah, we'll do a bonus stream on Saturday. I completely forgot about the graduation.
He says he does enjoy some chocolate chips.
Okay. Is he okay with dark chocolate chip? Oh, wait, no, I didn't get the dark chocolate. Never mind. I got the semi-sweet and I think milk chocolate. I wasn't sure if that was the percentage of dark chocolate that was too much for me.
Oh, okay.
When I was staring at the bag.
You really should make note of that.
Because I remembered that we had gotten Ghirardelli squares that were dark chocolate at one point, but I couldn't remember the percentage on them, and I'm like, that's a little too bitter for me. Because it was like 60%. And I was like, is this someone I don't like? But I didn't want to waste the money finding out if that was the one I didn't like. Okay, so that side's pretty much covered. So I did it on the parchment, so hopefully the sealer won't stick to the parchment if it comes to it. But we have no idea what time we're going to be getting back. And then I'm going to have to make dinner. It's going to be sometime in the afternoon, I think, because it's an hour away from us. And traffic on a Saturday, I have no idea what to expect. And it's been a while since we've physically seen the boy. We talk to him regularly, but we haven't actually laid eyes on him in a while. Alright. Maybe I just start wiping my acrylic paintbrushes off on this mouse pad and making a piece of art all on its own. Okay. Oh, well, that one just decided it was going to stick there. That was not exactly planned, but okay. Alright, and I'm just using a regular old toothpick as my little placement helper, so that way my fingers aren't completely getting wrapped in glue. You know, I'll end up getting a little bit on them because that's just the nature of it, but it'll help me kind of position the piece here. Now, I did get a little nervous about the amount of this color that I had. I was like, oh no, am I gonna have enough? I have more than what's in the cup there, but I did get a little bit nervous. I'm like, oh, I think we'll be okay. Excuse me. We're either being assaulted by our allergies or have a cold, or a combination thereof. I'm not really sure. I don't really feel sick. It feels more like allergies, but at this point, who really knows? Alright, so after we get this side done, then we have to finish the top. So we might have a little bit of drying time in between finishing the top and putting the sealer on. Not too much. I just kind of have to let the pieces that we're going to attach for his nest kind of grab, and then I think I'll feel okay with putting the sealer on. But I have to finish the front, or at least part of the front, before we can put the nest on. So I'm just kind of doing smushy paper for the background. I know, real big technical terms here. I'm just kind of sliding these little ripped up pieces in and around the glue so that they get a little bit wrinkly, so they provide some sort of texture. But it'll still be a slightly different texture than what the Rooster is, but won't like take away from the Rooster's texture. Because for the Rooster we did paper twists, and they kind of were their own texture. So the background I wanted to not be, sorry, I had some glue on my finger. The background I wanted to not be the same texture. So like this is all rolled and it's its own entity. That's why I wanted the background to be a little bit different. And doing the smushies, you know, sometimes the paper will overlap and it'll be a little bit darker where it overlapped a little bit. And, you know, that'll look a little bit, you know, multicolored a little when we go to put the sealer on, because the sealer will show those darker spots and make them pop a little bit more. And I don't think she was going to be framing this, so that's why I'm doing the edges here. So that way the edges sort of have a finished look to them. And the tacky glue doesn't usually take too long to dry. Not with the thinness or thickness that we're doing it at. Like, it's not going to be swimming in it, but I also want to make sure it doesn't dry on us while we are putting our paper on. So I've got a little bit of tacky glue on the end of my toothpick here, so sometimes it will grab the paper. A lot of times it was grabbing it when I didn't want it to, so then I was just kind of like, all right, well, if you're gonna grab it, then let's take advantage of it. Hello, Rant, how are you? I'm doing all right. Hope you're doing okay today. If I can grab my paper, it would be better. There we are. So how goes your Monday? Well, it's Monday here. Not quite sure what it might be in your neck of the woods. Hope you are well. Forgot I don't have my overlay today to prompt me when somebody talks in the chat. I've got to actually pay attention to chat today. I'm usually running stream avatars when we're playing games that will make a flamingo noise for me when somebody talks. It usually does, at least. And I'll be like, oh, right, I need to check the chat. Oh, I hope you are well. I'm not sure if it's picking up your type noise in the background. Because you switched keyboards. And now that we've got that one suppressor filter on, I don't know that it is. I got so used to it picking it up on the other keyboard and microphone. I'm pretty sure that other mic had given up on the front only picking up. It's Monday here in New York City. You're doing well. You're looking for inspo. I was blessed to view your page. Oh, well, thank you. Hopefully it inspires you. New York City. I grew up in Jersey. Southern neighbor. Oh, the filter is keeping out? Nice. So this is what the front of it looks like. I know we can't really see it with what I was doing there at the moment. Trying to get the sides done. I do have a piece of parchment down today, just to try to keep the glue under control here. Ooh, it's also making the desk surface a lot slipperier. So we are just, you know, regular old tissue paper. And I just ripped up some pieces of it to do the background. So I'm just kind of plopping it in the glue. And we're using tacky glue. Nothing fancy. And we're just kind of smushing it in the glue and bunching it up on itself to make it wrinkly, to give us this sort of like wrinkled molted background. I wanted to get the sides finished before we continue working on the top. I've got the other sides done. This project, see, part 4. So this is the 4th day that I'm working on it. And we did about 3 to 4 hours. But that was also with me stopping and talking on stream and stuff. So I probably could have gotten it done if I wasn't streaming it in maybe 2 days. So I've got the other parts of this project from start to finish over on the YouTube channel on the Nisey Paints playlist. I've got last week's work being done on it going up on the channel tonight, I believe. About a week behind for stuff going up on the YouTube channel. But I could have probably gotten this in like maybe 2 to 2.5 full days of working on it. Possibly. And I've got another tissue paper project coming up here. Sorry, I'm trying to get some more glue in my glue cup here. So just the tacky glue, nothing special. We've got another tissue paper project coming up that will probably be going onto the YouTube channel. I don't think I'm going to be able to stream that because of how large it is. I don't know yet. It depends on where I'm working on it in the house. And if the husband's old computer can handle a streaming session. I don't know if it can. But then I'd have to get the other camera out. KofiBot, why are you double posting? You shouldn't be double posting, KofiBot. But I've got another tissue paper project we're going to be working on where it's going to be a sunset with a couple of flamingos, kind of on like a cove or like a beach, rocky beach area. That's going to be on a 36 by 48 canvas. That's going to be a long-term project. I haven't decided if I'm just recording that and gonna edit it together and put it up on the YouTube channel, or if I'm gonna be able to stream it. It depends on how we get the setup done for that and what cameras I end up using. That's gonna take a while. Oh, thank you. Appreciate the follow. What keeps me going? Well, this one's a Christmas gift, so that's what's keeping me going on this one. I gotta get it done. I don't know. I need to keep myself busy. I need to stay busy. But I have a demo painting. So this is the, let's see, is it gonna fit? There we go. So this is the demo of the other tissue paper project I'm working on. I'll be starting to work on that after Christmas here. So that's just a mock-up. It's gonna look similar. It probably won't look identical, but that's what I want to work on once I get my supplies. My supplies for that are part of my Christmas gift, so because that's gonna be a lot of tissue paper. I gotta prep the tissue paper, gotta cut it all down, and then I have to get my, I like doing a color key, which sounds kind of silly, but I've got a couple other ones. Let me see. Husband, you're in the middle of something, aren't you?
No.
Can you go to, I was gonna say you could go to my Instagram or the Ko-fi and pull a link to one of the images, but I don't know if you know how to do that.
No, I don't.
Can you go grab the Bob Ross tissue paper off the wall where the treadmill used to be? The purple and pink one.
Purple and pink one. Okay.
So not at all what color key or scheme. So sorry, I got distracted in the middle of talking. So I like doing a color key where I paint roughly, thank you, roughly what color tissue paper I'm going to be using down first. So that way I've already blocked out what color tissue paper goes where, so I don't get carried away and mess up and have it look totally not what I had planned. So, you know what, let me see here. To zoom out a little bit.
That seems sufficient.
Alright, so this doesn't quite fit in the frame because of how I'm zoomed in. This is another tissue paper, art piece that I did where I was following a Bob Ross tutorial. So instead we did tissue paper. I did little like paper twists for like water texture and sky texture, and the little like flower looking snail shell roll-ups, those were clouds. And then I did smushy bits for the trees and the bushes, and then I did paper twists for the grass and for the barn building there. Oh, they're here. Here you go. I thought you weren't gonna help them.
Well, I'm gonna check on them at least, because that sounded
like she was not in the RV. Sorry, my mother-in-law just reappeared. The texture was Mod Podge. Oh, I just put my thumb in the glue. I seal everything with a final layer of Mod Podge at the end. I must have used gloss on that one to get that one that shiny. Sorry about the barking dog. My mother-in-law and her sister have been traveling around in the sister's RV, and they were gone for a couple of days, and they just pulled in the driveway, and the access for the sewer line is on our side of the driveway where our room currently is situated, and they need to apparently dump one of the tanks from the RV, which is kind of like outside our window. So we're doing this one in matte. That's what I have right now. But even the matte Mod Podge still has a little bit of a shine to it. Little bit. And like, I'm not using any fancy tissue paper. Just, you know, whatever you would go to the store to shove in a gift bag or a gift box, you know, just in the party gift bag aisle. So it's not like anything super expensive or fancy or anything. Get in there. But the base glue that I'm using is just tacky glue. It's a little bit easier to get off your fingers when it inevitably gets on there. You have 2 dogs, 2 cats, so you don't notice the pup. And does the Mod Podge peel after a while or turn color? I haven't had it do that. That piece that I just showed is probably maybe 2 years old. So it hasn't, so far, at least for me. I don't know if I'm just lucky or it just hasn't. Alright, I'm gonna put you over there because this keeps wiggling.
No, look out.
Alright, so yeah, I think that was like 2 years ago. Did I date the back of that pink one?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Some stuff I do, some stuff I don't.
I'm pretty sure that was from last year, wasn't it?
I thought it was 2 years ago.
Oh, maybe. I thought it was last year.
I was mostly needle felting last year. So I think that had to be like 2 years ago. Tomorrow we're going to be needle felting the husband's Christmas gift that I'm nervous I'm not going to finish in time. Where we are making an axolotl. So we have 2 dogs of our own. Technically one is the mother-in-law's, but our remaining dog latched onto it after his brother passed away a couple months ago, so now we have another dog. We've got 4 cats, 3 guinea pigs, but they're in a different part of the house. We might still have 2 hermit crabs. They haven't come up in a while, so we're not sure if they're still alive. We might have to go crab hunting in their tank. We're not sure if they're just taking their sweet ass time molting, or if they dug down and died, basically, because they have a habit of doing that. And then we have 2 cats that think they live here outside that are technically not our cats. We don't know where they came from, they just showed up. But yeah, no, we've done quite a bit of needle felting here on the channel. I spent about 2 years needle felting along with Bob Ross tutorials from his season 3 Joy of Painting, where we were making 8x10 versions of his stuff with the needle felting. I've got photos of those. They should be up either on the Ko-fi or the Instagram, one of those. Try to put pictures of the finished stuff up somewhere. Should be a link somewhere on this page to that. But I've dabbled in a few things. I want to do some needle felted magnets next. That's going to be my needle felting project after I get Christmas gifts done. Probably going to follow along with some more Bob Ross tutorials on those too. Yeah, this is fun. You're new to Twitch, so this is Surreal and Hermit Crabs. You didn't think of those as a pet. You're sorry about your pup. One of your cats passed this year too. Yeah, he'd been having some issues. He had hurt his back a couple of years ago, and we were kind of nursing him along. Finally got that injury healed enough where he started to act a bit more like his old self, and we're like, okay, cool. And then he ended up developing a kidney issue. He ended up getting kidney stones, and then they found or detected a mass in his bladder, but they didn't know what it was because every time they ran like a specific cancer screen that wasn't coming up. So they weren't sure, and we were trying to get him healthy enough where they could go in and do a surgery to explore what the heck it was, what was going on. But he wasn't improving, and it was just getting to be too much for us to even get him to the point where we could deal with the kidney stone issue. Managing the issue wasn't working, and it was time. So he didn't want to. He was telling us it was enough was enough. So it was a very hard decision, but it was probably for the best in the end. Because nothing we were doing was helping. It seemed like it would help a little bit, and he would start to take like 3 steps forward, and then it was like 5 steps backwards. I was like, buddy, we're trying. But he was I keep losing track of how old these 2 dogs are because we got them. They were brothers from the same litter mate. Us from the same litter. I want to say they were either 12 or 13. So they weren't like puppies. So he had some time on him. Yeah, but you know, it was time. It sucked, but it was to the point where he was so uncomfortable that we were up all night with him, and nothing we did was comforting him whatsoever, and he couldn't be on any stronger pain medication than what the vet had given us, because they're like, it'll make the kidney stone issue worse. And we're like, ugh. We had him on urinary tract food for like almost a year, and that didn't seem to be helping. So we definitely fought. We tried, but he was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. He was a corgi mix. I have no idea what he was mixed with. He didn't look like a corgi whatsoever. He kind of looked like some sort of terrier. His brother looks more corgi than him, and quite honestly, he was the only one that looked even remotely like a corgi. So that was a pretty diluted corgi mix. When I saw the ad in the paper, I'm like, free corgi mixes. I was like, we have to go look. Didn't even look like a corgi. I'm like, seriously? And they had the grandmother on the property. She looked like a corgi. like a, she kind of looked like a blue merle cardigan with the tail. Or no, wait, no. Which one has the tail? Yeah, the cardigan. I think it's the Pembroke that doesn't have the tail. And I was like, well, it's in there somewhere. His brother definitely has the attitude of a corgi. I will say that. Mr. Zuzu Pants is a sassy ass. Quite the sassy ass. All Bork. All demanding. No patience. Howls like a tornado siren going off. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
He rarely howls when one of us is in the house. He only howls when he thinks he's alone. Same with Susie Pants. It's so cute. Guinea pigs, I had them before. I had one when I was growing up. And one year we decided we wanted to give them a try again. Husband's like, that's fine. And this round of guinea pigs, we got mostly for my mom because she wanted a little. My mom lives with us. And like my mom, us, me and the husband, and the mother-in-law, we all kind of live in one house. Although the mother-in-law's not here that often anymore. She's usually traveling with her sister most of the time. But financial reasons, so we're all kind of under the same roof. And my mom wanted a little critter. First she was talking like puppy or kitten, and I'm like, what about a guinea pig? So because my mom had guinea pigs before and she liked them. And it's not that I was opposed to another kitten or puppy necessarily, but we don't know if we are staying here long term. We might move to a different state at some point in the next few years.
It's also worth a note, being honest, there's no guarantee any new dog would bond with her.
Yeah, and if it didn't bond with her, like
then
if
we got a new dog for nothing.
And if it bonded with us, then I was gonna feel really bad. Or, you know, a cat for her and it bonded with one of us, I was gonna be like, shit. And she'd be mad about that. So, at least the guinea pigs, they keep her company. They're just as feisty as the dog, to be perfectly honest. Every time we walk into the hallway to my mom's room, they're screaming because they're thinking that they're gonna get something. And I'm like, it's not time for you to eat yet. Eat your hay. So, we've got 3 there. Well, my mom wanted 1, but you know, you have to get 2 because they're social. And then there was 3 running around at the pet store together, kind of like doing shenanigans, and we're like, oh, I don't want to separate the 3 of them up, so one of them is technically ours. So I've got a 5-foot long tabletop cage in my mom's room for them. We did pig cam a couple of times when we had the cage in our room many streams ago. But I had a temporary holding cage that we would put them in when we cleaned their big cage, so I'd put them in that during stream for camera time, but I don't have that cage anymore. And their big main cage, why are you feeling like you're clogged? Their big main cage is in her room. And I don't really have a camera that I can set up in there. We were going to set up our security camera in there to do pig cam with, but then the software won't work with Windows 11, which is what I'm running. Come on, glue. No, they don't do the balls. They just kind of run around in their cage. We would do floor time with them, however, we've got cats. And the one cat is obsessed with them. To the point where one time where we had them on the bed out of the cage, he tried to grab one of them and run off with them. So, we had to put a stop to that. So, we actually have, like, they have a CNC cage, which is like the big grids, that you zip tie together that have like 1-inch square holes in them. We had to buy chicken wire at Lowe's and cover the outside of the cage to keep the cats from putting their feet in, to keep them from tapping guinea pigs and fucking with them. So we're all about cat proofing the pigs. So they have little hideys that they go in. They have some tunnels. They've got a wooden tunnel that they can chew on. They've got pellets. And my mom's in there all day with them. They're in her room, and she talks to them all the time during the day, and she's got her TV on. And so no, we've learned to how to cat proof guinea pig cages. We have what's the things that are there? Are the carbines, carbineers? We've got some kind of like um some kind of like keychain hook that one side you have to like press with your thumb, and it like pushes a latch in, and when you let go it snaps closed. We have those on the lid of the cage to keep it locked closed so the cats can't pull the lid up. So we've had to think of everything. Our one cat is obsessed with their Timothy hay. Need a new toothpick. And we had been on a last set of guinea pigs we owned. We had gotten like a 80-pound box of hay or something to last us several months. Because at that time we had 1, 2, 3, I think we had 4 or 5 guinea pigs at that point. One we had rescued from somebody in our town whose son turned out to be disastrously allergic to him, and that was a male, so we had to keep him separate. But we had this huge ass box of hay, and it was like waist high on me. Well, we didn't realize it, but the one cat decided one night he was going to jump into the box of hay and have a feast. And he feasted and feasted and feasted so much that he got himself an intestinal blockage and had to have emergency surgery. So we have now since learned from that experience that we need to keep the guinea pig hay in plastic bins that have locking lids on them, so that he cannot get into it. Because he's still around and still as obsessed with ever over the guinea pig hay. He has not learned his lesson whatsoever. Every time we're in there trying to feed them, he's right there trying to get into the bins of hay. You did not know that cats can eat hay. It's interesting. They're not supposed to. He loves cat grass and all that stuff. Like, we try to get him cat grass. We've grown it a few times. And he usually destroys it in pretty short order. But they're not supposed to eat the hay. That's how he ended up with the intestinal blockage. So we have to be real careful that none falls out of the bins while we are replacing the hay in the guinea pig cage, or that not any too large pieces fall out to the floor. because I don't want to drop another $5 grand on an emergency cat surgery. That was bad enough the first time. So it's like, no, that's okay. Let's not do that again. So we try to be a little extra cautious. So we do the locking like Tupperware bins, like the 5 or 10 gallon bins, so that he can't get into it. And when we do fleece cage liners for them that we made, so that we were not constantly having to buy bedding. Cats! Who's getting into trouble now? Cow! You leave Ed be. Cow cow! Cow cow! Can you throw something in his direction?
Cow.
Leave him be.
Cow, enough.
That's enough.
Enough.
You leave Ed alone. Cow is trying to...
I don't care if you're pretending to groom him now. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Cow tries to do dominance displays on Ed, because Ed's like the cat in charge of their group.
Funny part is Ed never...
Ed doesn't give a crap because he's like, yeah, whatever, dude. But I'd rather they not do it on my bed. On my side of the bed, no less. So we have Cow, who looks like a cow. He's black and white. We have Ed, who is an orange, and is definitely an orange. He shares a brain cell with the orange cat that thinks he lives here, who lives on our front porch, who we have no idea where he came from, where he's supposed to belong to. He just showed up. So they will stare at out the door at each other through the door. And we always joke that they're exchanging the brain cell. We have Mr. Peabody. He's the one that's obsessed with the guinea pig's hay. He's like a tabby, stripy colored cat. And then we have another tabby, stripy colored cat whose name is Little Bit because she was so tiny when we found her, due in part to the cat distribution system. Who came running up to us so frantic one night in the cold right before one December. Right before Christmas. Like a week or two before Christmas. We were taking our nightly walk and we walked past a local car wash and she came charging towards us, meowing frantically, this little tiny ball of fluff, and we're like, where did you come from? Why are you alone? You were too tiny to be out here. But she wouldn't get within pickup range of us. And it took us about an hour of dicking around trying to make friends before we finally gave up and cornered her in her hiding place and ripped her out of it and took her home. Because she was too little to be out there all night. In the cold and in the wet. And we looked around on a couple of our Facebook pages. And nobody had posted that they were missing a kitten who looked like it had maybe just been weaned. It was very tiny. And she purred the whole way back to our house while the husband was holding her. Like, we've had bad experiences trying to capture feral kittens before. We weren't sure how feral she was exactly, so it was definitely feisty. We got her back to the house and kept her quarantined in a different room. Didn't see anybody post for several days about missing a cat. And we were debating whether or not we were going to turn her into the pound. But the more we thought about it, we had just lost 2 of our older cats within like 2 months prior to this happening. And we decided that it was her personality seemed to be a combination of the two that we had just lost due to illness and age. So we were like, it feels weird if we turn her in because it feels like this was them being reincarnated or something into this one. So let's see, how many have we saved? We've adopted several. Peabody, Ed, Peabody and Ed were adopted from a local shelter. We had another cat that was older that the cat distribution system also dropped in our laps right before Christmas one year. We found her sleeping in the trash bags that we had put up on the curb for trash the next day. She scared the crap out of me because I didn't know she was there at first until one of the dogs kept pulling me to her to smell her, and she didn't really seem to react to the dog. And I'm like, okay. And then we started feeding her, and we coaxed her into the house because she was very unsure of us. And we held her overnight in our dog kennel, and we called animal control the next day to pick her up. And the first time we ever heard that cat growl was when animal control showed up to take her. Our local pound had posted on their Facebook page about, okay, this cat was found, picked up, going to be held for 7 days. If no one claims it's going to go up for adoption. And nobody claimed her. And a few days later, they were saying that they wanted to get, because they determined she was a senior. They weren't exactly sure how old she was, just that she was a senior. They said they wanted her to get a home before Christmas. And we were talking about it, but it was a really bad year for us financially. And so we called the pound and we're like, hey, we're the ones that turned her over to animal control. If nobody's gonna claim her, we'll take her in, but we don't have the money for the adoption fee right now. We won't have it till after the first of the year in January. So if she's still available, then we can take her then. And then the people running the pound were like, you know what, we'll waive the adoption fee. We don't want her to spend Christmas in here. And they're like, when can you pick her up? And we're like, okay. So she had some health issues. She was missing a couple of teeth. Turned out she had a tapeworm that they didn't realize she had. And so we had to do a round of worming on everybody after we realized that. But we had her for a few years until she had to have dental surgery, and she never really fully recovered from that and just kind of took a nosedive. But we had her for a couple of years. So I'm not really sure how many cat distribution saves we've done, but like we've got 2 on deck. The one's not real sure about coming in, and the other cat's in the house. The orange one would probably come in, but he's not fixed. And we already have 3 males in here that are fixed, and he's been getting kind of rowdy outside and a little territorial, so I'm not sure if he would really work out with our group in the house, because the one female we have, she's real pissy with the orange one that's in the house, because I think they're both giving off alpha cat energy, and she ain't taking it from him. So there's plenty of nights where we hear them getting into it and we have to go and find them and break them up. So we're not sure we really want to bring in another one right now, but we told him if he starts being too much trouble, he's gonna end up getting turned over to the pound. We feel bad, but he's like living on our front porch. He's curled up in one of our rocking chairs, and he's like happy as a clam out there, and I'm like, Okay, I guess. Just stay out of the road. As long as you're not causing trouble out here. Sometimes he likes to try to chase off the other female that likes to hang around our house. One of the cats that kept coming around our house that we were beginning to think didn't have a home actually did have a home, but it was somebody's cat that they let outside. Because they had posted a picture of him. They're like, y'all, if you see my cat, this is my cat. If he's like begging for food, don't believe him. He gets fed. Like, he's just a drama queen. That cat used to come around our house quite a bit until another cat showed up that we had no idea where he came from. He just showed up one day. There's a lot of stray cats in this town, or a lot of dumped cats. People like to come to our town to dump their animals, dogs, cats, you name it. They have one particular spot they like to go to dump them near a local lake because there's usually not many people up there, at least depending on the time of year. Or they'll go to one of the weird windy mountain roads and dump them just on the side of the road. We've had people's cameras catch it. But we had a white cat show up. He hung around for a while. He would sometimes follow us partway on our nightly walks, so we had to be careful what direction we went in so that we didn't cross any road that was real busy. He ended up getting hit by a car in front of our house. Person never stopped. Don't know if they knew they hit him. But we ended up burying him on our property. So we weren't going to leave him in the middle of the road. And his girlfriend that he brought, that's where the female came from, has stayed hanging around ever since. We figured she would take off when he stopped being around, but she didn't. But we've also seen her hanging around a neighbor's house a couple doors down now, so I don't think we're the only ones feeding her. And she kind of acts like she wants to come in at times, so I don't know if they're working on getting her used to coming inside. But I did see her down in their driveway. I don't know, there's something about cats that just I don't know, are magnets to us. There's all kinds of like outdoor cats in the neighborhood. We've got another neighbor across the street from us in one direction where their cat's now starting to meow and come up to us. They tried following us the other night when we were walking. We're like, no, you have a home. You need to stay here. We've got somebody else's cats, two other well, not really neighbors, but two other people that live in the area that we walk, whose cats like to come up and greet us. And I'm like, hi. I'm not your owner. I can't afford to take another cat in right now. And you actually have a home, so go home. I can't be thieving other people's cats that actually belong to somebody. To go now. How do you pronounce your channel name? Nisey. Like knee as in your knee joint, and C is like ICU. My real name's Denise, but so Denise or Nisey was a nickname that had gotten bestowed upon me at one of my jobs. Tell that you and your husband are very kind and dedicated. Keep posting. Great storytelling. All right, well, thank you for stopping by. You have a good day. Enjoy your holiday if I don't see you again. And thanks for hanging out with us for a little while. Yes, thank you. You too. All right, so we're just gonna work on the front now after I change how I'm sitting. Oh, achy body. Always the achy body. Okay. All right, so I might have to... Nope. I might have to flip this over to use the other end, but I might have to rip up some more paper here. What I am going to do is take off my sweater because now I'm hot. Our room has been a weird temperature range today between I'm kind of chilly and I'm kind of baking, so there's times where I think the light panel doesn't really do much to warm up the room, and then there's other times where I'm like, is it actually roasting in here or is it me? Although this time of year, our room's usually freezing. There's something weird with our ductwork on the heating system and air conditioning system, where this room, it has air exchanges, but we don't seem to be getting anything coming out of them. So we don't know if there's a hole in the ductwork or there's some kind of blockage in it. We don't really know. We do know that in the winter, when it's cold out and the wind blows, we can feel cold air coming up out of the air exchanges. So something comes up occasionally. So it just got to the point where we were like, screw it. We'll just get a space heater for when it's particularly cold, and we're just gonna cover up the air exchanges with some packing tape for now to keep the cold air from blowing in. And the heat from our computers running seems to do enough to, between that and the space heater at times, seems to be enough to do the job. That we have layers to put on if it comes to it. Oh, I miss having baseboard heat, like the hot water baseboard heating. I miss that so much. Most of the newer houses are all about the HVAC systems and the hot air blowing, and that's all fine and good, but as soon as the hot air stops blowing, like the room gets plunged into cold. Doesn't actually seem to retain any warmth. Alright. So I'm just kind of working on getting some more of our tacky glue put in here around our rooster since we've finished the sides up. Alright. So I'm gonna need to get some, oh no, there's still a little bit more in there. So I need to get some more glue out, but we will need to get some more next round. Next round of glue in here. So these are just old medicine cups that I've held on to. Either didn't end up using them, but they came with the bottle and I didn't want to throw them away. So I have come to find that they work out really well for tiny little water cups or little paint cups or little cups holding your supplies if you're working on something smaller. So I tend to hold on to them. I've got a whole huge collection of them, so when one gets too gross, I can then not feel bad about tossing it out or cracked or whatever. You don't have to use them, I just think it makes for easier cleanup. And because this is in a plastic cup, when the tacky glue dries, I can take one of my toothpicks and dig it down the side and lift the glue up and just peel it out and just throw the glue bit away. Now, I technically don't have to put it in the cup. I could just apply it directly to the canvas and then just use the brush to kind of smooth it around. But I don't know, I like putting it in the cup. I feel like I've got a little more control over it when I'm just using the brush to apply. But that's going to be more like personal preference. And if you don't have these, not a big deal. You could use a little paper plate or whatever. Or like I said, you could just apply it directly too if you don't want to go through all that. If you don't have the patience, I understand. Okay, let me get that. And this in here. Now again, we're just kind of sliding this around in our glue. We're smushing it all up against itself and against the other papers that are down, just to kind of get a little bit of a wrinkly texture going in there. Alrighty, keep that. I want to make sure I don't get my blue color on top of my rooster. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful going around this edge here. And if you've got a little corner or something that's being a little bit stubborn about sticking down, don't worry too much, because when we come back to do our sealant coat, that should take care of it. Like, we'll be careful about applying it and making sure any of our loose ends get attached into place. All right, so the top goes a little bit quicker because I don't have to balance holding it and getting the paper on and the glue on and all that. And yay for the parchment paper, because that toothpick, only tiny little tip of it stuck, but it still peeled right up. So I think that was good that we decided to put that underneath. Now I have contact paper on my desk. That's what this blue wood grain is. Teal, I guess it's more like a tealy green. That's contact paper, because we learned that lesson with the last desk I had where the veneer on it turned out to not really be all that grand, and it was like a sticker basically, because I put painter's tape on it and pulled the painter's tape up, and the finish looked like it was attached to cardboard and just ripped right off. And I was like, what? I was like, excuse me, this was painter's tape. It's not supposed to damage anything when you pull it off. Like what? It's very confused. Don't know if we're gonna have enough paper torn there. Alright, so I'm gonna turn this. Or should we do the nest first? You know what? Maybe we should do the nest first, so that way it can be drying while I'm finishing the background. Because that's the thing that's gonna take the longest to set up here. Okay. So I have to figure out how long I want this to be. Let's see, what if we start our snip there? All right. Kind of get that into there. And then So, I didn't originally plan for there to be a nest here. The nest came about because no matter what I did with this foot, I got angry. So, like, it just doesn't look right. It looks like he's wearing some kind of weird ass boot. It could just be the color. Like, that's entirely possible. It should be wider at the top. My brain's being backwards here. So I was thinking smaller at the top, wider at the bottom, but no, it should be the other way around. Okay, so I do you out a little bit further. All right, I zoomed out. I forgot to zoom back in. Where were we? I think we were about there. Okay, so this is just jute that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. It is a little fuzzy. Kind of hoping that will work to our advantage a little bit. I'm going to try to clean up some of these extra scraggly bits here a little bit. I don't want to go too big though, because I only have so much space to work with. Okay, this guy's a little bit longer than I think I am looking for here. There we go. Alright, so if we get these two in there, and I get this guy. Alright, this guy should be next. Okay, this guy in here. Okay, you're a little long too. And not laying flat, so this will be a slight adventure. Alright, so if I get that kind of put into there. Okay. That's the edge of the other one. Just gonna trim off a little bit more of that. Okay, so if That guy is there. I would use actual hay, but I don't know what's gonna happen if it gets Mod Podge on it. Do you think it would mold?
What?
If I used actual hay?
Yes. I don't think you could seal it well enough to stop it from molding, like put it that way. Because it would already have microbes inside of it.
Yeah. Oh, maybe this is too big. Maybe we should make it a little bit smaller. So maybe one more piece there. That might not be so bad, but yeah, I might make it a little bit smaller because that is a little big. Okay, so let me grab one of my binder clips here. Missed two of them. There we go. Alright, well, I mean, that can come down into there. That's okay. So, actually, it's probably better the way I had it. Everybody was in there kind of flat. And I've got these two on the outside. Okay. So I have to figure out what size I want you. Like, I don't want you too large, right? Because it was a little big there. All right. Okay. Probably should have waited to put my glue in my cup. But I didn't think about getting this done right now until after already. Excuse me. Look, all I did was talk about the hay and I'm starting to sneeze. Okay. So, we'll get these two. Excuse me. Put about there. It's probably a decent enough length there. Might have to add one more piece here. Oh man, now my throat's gonna start getting itchy again. Why? not allergic to the jute now, am I? Hopefully not. Alright, next piece. Okay. Alright, so maybe about there-ish. I know we're not cutting off that much. I did think it was maybe a little long. For what we were doing here. I think it'll look a little bit better once we no, all of you go that way, please. So we get everybody in line here. Who was the longer of you? Oh, we're both kind of the same size. So I guess that doesn't really matter so much. So maybe about there. Come on. Thank you. Don't be stubborn. So then this guy, kind of our last piece. Alright, so this still might get adjusted slightly. I'll have to see here. See how we go. Alright. So I'm going to try to put the glue down on here. I'm going to be a little bit heavier with it. Okay. Rinse the glue out of my brush. This is just a brush from like a cheap set that came with something I've had forever. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's sacrifice you to the glue gods here. Alright, just cleaning up our edges a little bit. Just trying to cover this foot here. Now it's going to be a new type of texture that we are adding in here. So I'm just going to kind of hold that in place till I'm sure that we are not going to flip off. It seems to be holding fairly well. Alright, so get... Gosh, there was a motorcycle or something making a noise outside, or a car, and I for a second thought it was Little being spicy. because it kind of sounded like her ever so slightly. Alright, I'm gonna try to bring some of this glue up on the edge of our other piece there, just to give it another anchor point. Oh, snuffles. I have the snuffles. Now I try to rinse the glue out of my brush just so it doesn't get all hard and funky. And I do try to dry it, so that way we're not getting water back into our glue here. Did you give them their Chex Mix?
No, not yet.
Okay. That is actually holding that pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, let's see. Do we have... Yes. Wasn't sure how much glue I still had that was liquid enough in here to grab. Now I still might have to cut one more piece. Alright. Next piece. I think this is the next in line, right? Do we have any super extra scraggly bits here? Okay. Yeah, I might actually have to cut one more piece. And that's okay. Not like a huge deal. This side of the nest is a little short right there, but I don't know if I can. Maybe. Might be able to do something there. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can. Okay, well, some of it's coming off because that part didn't actually get glued down, but you know what? That's okay. I'm making a small mess here. But, you know, cutting any kind of jute rope that's sheddy, it's gonna be an adventure in quite the mess making activity. All right, but this is sticking down a lot better than it was looking like it was going to, so yay for that at the very least. I'm going to put some more glue in our cup here. Okay, I think this is the next sized one. I believe. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to cut another bit of this. More than likely. But we have some more, so I have like a whole ball of it. I've been using the same ball of jute for forever. I had gotten two of them, right? Because I'm like, oh, it's from the Dollar Tree. There's probably not going to be much on here. I'm using the same ball that I have been using to do the hangers on the other Bob Ross needle felts. Just trying to make sure that the glue was gonna go back down in the bottle and not explode everywhere. I cut the husband's hair earlier, and some of the little tiny hairs that came off of his head, I think, got into the weave of my shirt. I swear there's some sort of little something sharp that is stabbing my arm whenever it's touching that part of my shirt, and I keep feeling it, and I can't find it. It's maddening. I really don't want to change my shirt, but I might have to, at least in a little while. Ah, dang it. Glue got away from us there. It'll dry clear. It's not like a huge catastrophe there. Do we have any? Okay, you're actually pretty good. Well, maybe we won't need to cut another one. I wasn't real sure. Sometimes when you get these guys like kind of pushed up on themselves, and actually more tightly compacted, it's like, oh, right. We could get one more in there. We may not need to here. We'll see. Okay, let me rinse my brush here, because it's been a minute. Alright. Dry that off. I should just be using my paintbrush towel, but I didn't pull that out today. Okay, so now hello, Prag. It is going okay today. We are trying to finish this gift up. Hopefully we can get it done. Just cut a little extra scraggly bits off of that one. So we are in the home stretch on this guy. Putting his nest in, and then I just have to finish this bit around him. I don't know if I really like the look of the nest either, but it's better than how the foot was on its own. My edge on the back side of it got a little funky, but that's all right. It will do. It will do. Get these little bits of jute off of here. Okay, so I'm going to turn this guy. So hope all is well with you today. Alright, I'm going to... Oh, okay, that did kind of stick, but it did come off. So hopefully when we go to seal it, if it does slightly stick to the parchment paper, then it'll still peel up. Now I've got all these little tiny little itty bitty annoying bits of jute everywhere from cutting that. I have to definitely clean the desk pretty well tonight. The one thing I hate about jute, it's got all these little fibers on it, and it feels messy when you have to cut it. Especially as much as I cut it. Right there. Well, that's good, that's good. We are definitely in Christmas gift crunch mode here. Trying to get everybody done. I think we'll get this done today. I just glanced at what time it was, so I think we'll be all right. I wanted to get that nest put in now before I kept going on the rest of this guy. So that way, that should be somewhat dry when we go to put our sealer on here, to just make sure everybody's in place. So I'm just using tacky glue here. Nothing fancy. We don't want the fancy glue here. We don't want any of your... You can barely hear me. Wow, really? Huh. I wonder if my audio reset. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's try that. Hopefully that will be a little bit better. I might have been talking a little bit quiet too. Sometimes I don't project. My microphone was a little bit further away from me. Have to let me know if that was any better. I turned it up a little bit. But I also have to be careful I don't turn it up too much, because then every background noise and dog bark is going to be that much more amplified. But hopefully that's a little better. I can try to pull. Perfect. Okay, cool. I say I wasn't that close to the microphone either today. When I'm gaming, it's like right in front of me. When we're doing art, it's a little bit off to the side and pushed back. Alright, so we are doing tissue paper Rooster for my mom's Christmas gift. We took some squares of tissue paper and twisted them into little tubes, basically, and that's what we did for the chicken rooster guy himself. And now we're just kind of working on getting our background done. For the background, I just tore up some tiny pieces of tissue paper and I laid some tacky glue down. And we are just kind of laying it in the glue. You need to not be sitting on that. And I'm just kind of like smushing it all in the glue, making it wrinkled to give it a different texture than the rooster itself, so that they don't blend into each other, so the rooster will pop out a bit. So that is what we are working on. I ended up putting him in a nest because no matter what I did with his foot, I fixed it once already, or redid it once. I was not happy with it, so I had to redo it. And when I redid it, still wasn't happy with it. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna cover you. I'm tired of fighting with you. We're just gonna cover you at this point, and we'll just deal with you that way. So that's what we just finished doing. And that's, oh, no, you need to stick. Thank you. And I wanted that to get a little bit secure before I start putting the sealant on, which we will be doing once we get done the background here. And we're just using some tacky glue here. You don't want Gorilla Glue, you don't want super glue, you don't want any of the fancy E6000s or whatever they've got now. You don't want any quick grip glue, just tacky glue is fine. Elmer's will work in a pinch if you're desperate, like the school glue. Don't use a glue stick, don't use hot glue. I don't think the glue stick is gonna, like the scrapbooking glue stick, I don't think that's gonna be wet enough to do what we want to do here. Just like I think paste wouldn't really work, don't use rubber cement. You just want to go with either tacky glue or like an Elmer's school glue. Nothing fancy. Because your fingers are going to be in this, right? And you don't want that other stuff on your fingers. You don't want to accidentally glue yourself to the project or to another surface or to yourself. So all right, let me dry that off. Everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. You want to mute for a second?
Yeah, okay. Hold on one second, guys. All right, sorry, guys. I was wondering why you were gone so long. All right.
Well, now it's telling her about Tyler's graduation.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have to actually get up at 7 to take Borky Pants here to
Borky Pants might have to cope because I don't know how much of that I can do. I kind of have to keep it together. So, under the circumstances, Borky Pants is gonna have to cope.
I was saying yesterday that, you know, I was going to try to do some extra streams on the axolotl needle felt this week. And I'm going to end up making cookies on Thursday, so we're not doing one on Thursday. And I was like, oh, well, we'll do one Friday and Saturday. Oh, I have to sneeze. Maybe I don't. No, it went away. Okay. And I forgot that Friday we have to go to our not really adopted son's graduation. And we met him at one of the jobs that we worked at, and we're like, dude, you are young enough to be our child. And just barely. And he lived with us for a while he was in between apartments and stuff. Cuz we live near the University of Arkansas, and so he didn't get his lease renewal in time, and all the college kids descended, and then he couldn't find any place else to go, so he was with us for a little while. So he invited us to one of his degree graduations this weekend, and I forgot that was this weekend. Like, I knew, but I didn't think about it, and I was like, oh yeah, we'll stream. His graduation is at 10 a.m. And technically, I could still do an afternoon one, but it's an hour away from us. And I don't know how long we're gonna be tied up down there. I mean, the ceremony's got to be done before 1 p.m. because they have another round graduating at 1. I'm thinking it might only be an hour long, but it's an hour-long drive. The doors open at 9 a.m. to the arena for people to start taking their seats and stuff, and I don't want to get there at last minute and be like up in the nosebleed section. So, I have no idea what time we're getting back. We might not be home till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And that's not really going to be enough time to get much done. And for us to decompress from being out around a lot of people. So I think we're only going to be able to do an extra stream maybe on Friday, and that's if I get all my cookies done on Thursday. I really didn't want to cancel Coral Island on Sunday. We might have to do a couple of evening streams. Tomorrow we're going to try to start a little bit early to work on the axolotl. Because I've still got a lot of work on the axolotl. It's either that or I just end up recording. Didn't really want to record though. We'll see. Maybe I'll have time to do one Saturday night. After I get our dinner sorted. And any subsequent dishes dealt with. We'll see what Saturday brings. And we'll see what Friday brings. But if we do end up doing a bonus stream on Saturday, it will probably not be till Saturday night. I think I can still get this thing done in time. Right, so let's see. Today is the 9th. Ooh. It's gonna be tight, but I think next Tuesday we'll be working on the axolotl as well. So I'll have Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday. And I should have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week to work on him too. I should. I don't know of anything else that we need to take care of on those days. I think we can still get him done in time. It's not like I have to ship him out, so that helps. If I had to ship him out, I would have had to start him in the summer. Just to be sure he was done in time. Oh, these allergies or this cold, whatever this is. I am totally over this shit. Because there's something in this state that the two of us are allergic to. As far as like nasal allergies are concerned. We don't know what it is. But whenever we leave this state and come back, like we feel better when we're not here. And as soon as we're back in the state, even getting close to the state line, we're like starting to feel shitty. Okay. Nope, come here. Come here. Stop trying to run away. Alright. Alright, I need some fresh glue here. Hey, can you check my sound? I had to turn it up a little. Because Prague said they couldn't really hear me. I don't know if I just had the microphone too far away. And now I'm not sure if it's too loud. But,
you're still fairly quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? We had this sorted. What is going on? Like, we had decided that that was a good volume. Is it because of how far away I am? Like, I'm not that far away. This is crazy. Alright, so I need to go up a little bit more then. Because nobody yesterday said they had a hard time hearing me, and I didn't change the sound settings at all. I mean, the microphone was a little bit closer to me yesterday. Makes me wonder how quiet I was on the Coral Island stream yesterday. That is wild. Alright, so you want me to turn it up a little bit more? Husband?
Huh?
You want me to turn it up a little bit more?
I'm gonna look into something, so...
It's gotta be my distance, right? Because that's the first time I've had somebody say they couldn't hear me in a while. But I've changed literally nothing. So I'm really, really confused. Alright. So we'll get this guy tucked into here. Carefully. As carefully as we can. Alright. next one here, because I don't want it to be on top of our rooster, right? It needs to be just kind of up against it. Unless this head cold's fucked my voice volume that much, but didn't think it had. Like, I don't feel like I'm talking any quieter. Ow. Like, what's coming out of my mouth doesn't feel any quieter than normal. Okay, so that put into there. I mean, I could try to bring this a little bit closer, but I don't know if that's going to help. I haven't had to bring it that close in some time while we were doing art. All right, let's get the rest of my paper tipped out here. I think we're gonna have to tear up some more paper. Okay. We will tear up some more paper in just a minute. Just want to finish getting what we've got put in here. All right. So let's go ahead and we will clean our brush as best as we can. Excuse me. All right. Next bit of paper going in. Okay. So, let's see, I don't want all of that. I only want one piece at a time, please. Okay. Next piece. And this is just what we're gonna keep doing to fill in our background. as best as we can. Like, I haven't even had a Windows update. OBS didn't update. I have no idea why I'm suddenly being quiet on that. That kind of aggravates me. After we went to so much trouble to try to get the sound volume fixed. And we thought we had it fixed. Okay, I'm going to turn him upside down now. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to mute. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I desperately had to blow my nose. Okay. So, we've almost got the background done here. Almost. So, can get this filled in here. Up along our edge. And I'm gonna put a little bit overlapping our edge right there. All right. Tell you, these tech gremlins just won't leave me be. Either the camera's getting angry, the internet's getting angry, or we're having sound angry issues. Okay. Come on. You were letting me grab this that way. At least for a little while. Yes, now you've decided that you're going to be fussy too. Okay, so work on getting this part in here. Okay. Come on. Suddenly got queued up a Christmas song on my Spotify. You guys can't hear the Spotify. Don't panic. I don't know why. Because I wasn't listening to Christmas music before that.
Ignore that Badoop that you're about to hear. It's stuff I'm going to test on your system when you're done streaming.
What Badoop?
I just sent you something on
When I'm streaming, Discord goes into streamer mode, so it mutes all sound.
Was me. You can ignore it for now.
Okay. Okay. Alright. Next piece into here. Don't think we're gonna have to rip a whole lot more paper, but I'll probably need to get a little bit more ripped up here. Okay. Alright, one more little bit here on the corner there. I would like you to be at least a little bit smushed in there. Okay. So we are to about here. We still have this whole section to fill in. I believe I still have some more glue in our container that we can use here. So the glue doesn't turn clear until it dries. And when I put it in the little cup thingy here, it doesn't start to turn clear right away. It will take probably like a day or two for that to completely dry, if not longer, depending on how many layers of glue I've got going on in there. But I do think we are ready for some fresh glue here, because I'm not really pulling up any liquidy glue. What's there is kind of starting to skin over. It was definitely starting to dry. Okay. So let's work on getting our next bits of paper attached in here. But you never really answered me. For right now, do I need to go higher on the mic sound? Husband?
Hmm?
For right now, do I need to go higher on the mic?
Don't even fuck with it for right now.
Okay.
If it's good, pumping up the gain hasn't worked all this time. It's not going to work now.
Okay.
So.
Alright. So we'll get that put into there. And this guy. Just gonna wrinkle and smush around in our glue. And it's gonna like layer up a little bit on its surrounding friends. That's okay. Like that should be just fine. Just making sure that the overlap there down the side got attached. All right, next piece going in. Take you home, country road. With roosters crowing in the background. All right. Trying to figure out how much more paper I'm gonna need to grab here. Because, yeah, that's not enough. All right, let me get my box here. My box of paper. Technically in a bead organizer, but it'll do the job. I don't want to go too crazy. Let's see here. You're going back home from your vacation. You were in 2 states. 2 states. Which states? We're currently living in Arkansas. I used to live in New Jersey. And the husband is originally from New Hampshire. I have family that still lives in New Jersey. And I now have family living in Florida. We have passed through several states in our travels. I lived briefly in Pennsylvania. Arkansas first, then Texas, then back to Arkansas. Yeah, we're currently up in the northwest corner of Arkansas. Not too far from the Oklahoma border. Up in the Fayetteville region. I grew up in South Jersey, right outside Atlantic City. I I've got family on the west coast of Florida at the moment. Husband still has some family in New Hampshire. It's one state I've never been to. You actually passed by Fayetteville? Nice. Hopefully if you were driving, hopefully the construction on I-49 wasn't too bad. They are redoing the on and off ramps at exit 62. They finally finished the what exit number was it? 64? The Weddington exit. They finally finished redoing their on and off ramps because those backed up terribly badly. With the amount of people that have moved into the area. Kansas City, nice. That is one place I've never been. We were talking about heading up that way to go to Nebraska. Was it Nebraska? I think it's Nebraska. Or is it Kansas? I wanted to go to the zoo in Omaha. I think that's Nebraska. I think we were going to have to pass through that way. Took exit 12 to Fayetteville. Exit 12. Okay, it was a different road then. Coming into that. Like, exit 62 would have been if you were getting off into Fayetteville, so. At least you didn't have to deal with that. Because, oh my god, does RDOT take forever with their road projects. Holy shit. I want to say they were working on the Weddington exit off of I-49 for almost 2 years. Fayetteville is so spread out that half the time you have to hop on the interstate to get to the other side of the city if you don't want to sit in traffic all day. Which is kind of weird to me because we never had, like, I never lived in a city like that before because, you know, I just used to living in suburbs and living outside of Atlantic City, and there wasn't really interstate going through that city. There was like an expressway and like local high volume roads, but that was just to get there. That wasn't to go through it and to get to the other side of it. So it's kind of strange to me with where we are now. Not used to all these big ass high travel roads. Now, I really want to go to the Omaha Zoo. That's on one of our lists to eventually go see. We finally got to go see the Tampa Zoo. That was on my list of zoos to go check out. Or Zoo Tampa, or the hell they call it. We got to see that last January, February, something like that. Because I had seen it on their one TV show. Was it on Discovery Channel? I don't remember. One of the channels was doing like a zoo series with that zoo. And I will say, I thought it would be bigger. I was a little surprised that it felt like a smaller zoo to me than I expected it to be for the entrance fee and for how much they had showed different parts of it on their TV show. I'm like, oh, this place is huge. Now, they did have one section under construction, so I will say that. So they did have one area completely blocked off where people couldn't enter. So maybe that's why it felt a little small. But I really thought it would be bigger. No, I've seen the website for the Omaha Zoo, and I'm like, oh, we gotta go. Like, we have to go. So it's on our list to eventually check out. I saw it, I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. To have an aquarium, a separate aquarium in the zoo, and then the aviation, the avian houses, I'm like, oh, this looks fun. We have to go. But that's more than that's like a weekend trip for us, because we'd have to drive up like the day before and spend the night. That's probably a 2-night stay for us. Drive up, spend the night, go to the zoo the next day, spend the night, and then head home the next day. We were originally going to do that this year, but stuff happened. Oh, that's right. Our hot water heater decided to not behave itself. And we had to replace it, so there went our Omaha trip money. Because that was an expensive fix. Since we had to replace that sucker entirely. It wasn't a simple fix. Our previous hot water heater had been like 20 years old, it turns out, when they came to look at it to see why it wasn't working. They're like, yeah, your control box went, things like 20 years old. They're like, we might have trouble finding parts for that. And we're like, oh. And we were starting to get some like rust sediment coming out of our hot water line. So we're like, you know what? As much as it sucks, just replace it. There's no telling how long that thing's gonna last anyway, so we had to put the Omaha Zoo trip on the back burner. Still on our list of things to do, but Tulsa Zoo's our zoo that we consider to be our home zoo. And that's still like a 2-hour drive for us. It's kind of funny that the zoo in Tulsa, Oklahoma is closer to us than the Little Rock Zoo in the state. I think it takes us about 3.5, 4 hours to get to Little Rock. Roughly. It's just easier to go to Tulsa. So we haven't been to Little Rock yet for the zoo. We've been through Little Rock. We kind of end up going, if we go back north, then we are on, we have to go south to pick up I-40, and then we're on I-40 and through part of Tennessee, I think, and then we pick up I-81 for a while. But whenever we go to Florida, the few times that we've went now, we tend to go, there's a couple ways we could go, but we prefer to go through, we'll cut through Arkansas, we'll go straight across into Tennessee, and then we'll dive down into Mississippi for like maybe an hour. How long are we in Mississippi? Maybe 2 hours? And then we go through Alabama, and then go through Georgia. I know you can go like diagonally through Alabama, but we wanted to stay on the main interstates. So we'll go through Alabama and go through Georgia. And plus when we go through Georgia, we can stop at Buc-ee's. So We're finally getting our own Buc-ee's here, but I think it's close to Little Rock. But we kind of purposely stop in Georgia so we can go to Buc-ee's. A, for the clean bathrooms, and there's a couple snacks that the husband likes from there that we can't get anywhere else. That aren't as good. And they're a good backup to stop at to get food for later in the day that we'll throw in our cooler. Like, I ended up getting a salad and some other stuff to put in the salad while we were there. And that ended up being my dinner when we got to our hotel because nothing sounded appealing that would deliver to the hotel. I have family near the Tampa area. My brother lives, well, technically he's my half-brother. He lives down there. And my one aunt and uncle live within like 20 minutes of him. I'll tell you, that traffic through Clearwater coming into Tampa is rough. No matter what time of day you come through there, it's just rough. At one point we weren't quite sitting, but it was definitely like 5-10 miles an hour for a while. Didn't matter if it was in the morning or in the afternoon. We've come through there at both times, on our way back from Key West and on our way to Key West. That's one of my ultimate trips, is what I want to do. I want to spend one Christmas or near Christmas, sometime in December. I want to do a Key West trip. Because I love how they have all the houses decorated for Christmas and all their parades and stuff. And it's one of my bucket list trips. That's an expensive trip though, so that won't be happening anytime soon. That's going to be a couple many years down the road, but that is on one of my lists to eventually do. We're trying to go to Orlando next November, before Thanksgiving. So my mom can see her sister. So we don't know how much longer my mom's going to be able to stand traveling in the car. And she doesn't want to fly. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to fly either, to be perfectly honest. I've had my fill of trying to fly, and all it is an anxiety-ridden mess for me. So I'd rather not. But we're trying to go to Orlando next November so I can see the Christmas lights at SeaWorld. I don't care about Disney so much. I can't really do the rides at Disney anyway. I could probably only get away with doing like It's a Small World and Jungle Cruise. Maybe Haunted Mansion, but I don't really care about Haunted Mansion, so I'm like, meh. I don't really want to pay the entrance fee to SeaWorld. I mean, to Magic Kingdom if I really can't do anything there. I've got some issues with my neck that make the like the forces of roller coasters and stuff not quite so fun. And I know there's also roller coasters at SeaWorld, but there's more to do at SeaWorld for me. I like looking at all the animals and they've got really good food, and I really want to see all their Christmas lights and decorations and stuff. I've seen photos of it and video of it, but I really want to see it in person. So we're going to try to see if we can do that next November. We're not certain we're going to be able to. Kind of depends on how the year goes, but we're going to try. I was also supposed to go shelling at like Fort Myers Captiva area on that trip, but I might not be able to now. We'll have to see. How finances look come that time of the year. Hopefully we don't have any health issues go wrong this year. We were not pleased with the hot water heater taking a dive on us, and our stove took a dive on us. I forgot we had to replace the stove too. Stoves are expensive. Stoves have gotten so expensive. From even like 10 years ago. Like, holy shit. I was like, oh, we should be able to price it for like maybe $500. Oh no. $800, my friends, for an electric stove. Without anything fancy on it. The fanciest thing about it is that it's a smooth top. They had a slightly cheaper one with the coils instead of the flat glass top, but they were out of stock on it. I'm like, of course. Of course you're out of stock on it. Because that's the affordable one. Oh, goodness. Alright, so we're going to have to try to get this in here. Get this smoothed around. Gotta make sure we don't overlap the chicken here. Yeah, but Omaha's definitely on my list. I was so sad when we had to cancel that. My mom was kind of bummed too because she wanted to go. But hot water was more important, so. We're almost there, you guys. We're almost to the ceiling stage. I've got a little bit more left to go. And that gives me an extra day. Okay, so now I've got too much paper ripped up here. Because of course I do. So that means I'm going to have an extra day to work on this next week. Thank goodness. Or to work on the axolotl. The axolotl needs a lot more work done on it. I've probably got, let's see, the coloring the back took me 5 hours alone, or like the top of it. So I still have to do the underside. So that's probably going to take me another 5 hours. I have leggies to make and color. That's probably another 4 hours. Because I have to attach them as well. And then fill in their attachment points. I have to attach the head. It might only take me like an hour to attach the head though. Maybe less than that. I guess I can pull an all-nighter Christmas Eve if I have to. I might still get it done in time. Husband has re-entered the room.
You can tell by the creaking.
That chair. We're gonna replace that. Christmas Eve, he gets his new chair. We have it. It's in the house. He's just not allowed to have it yet. Even though this one sounds like it's gonna collapse every time he sits down on it. Or shifts. I'm super nervous with him sitting in that chair now. Oh, okay, I stretched and my shoulder cracked, and that was unexpected. If anything, I was expecting my back to crack. Alright. I might need to get just a little bit more glue. Out of our glue bottle here. We'll see. Maybe I don't. Gonna see if I can fill in I don't know. No, I really don't have enough to really work with here. I'll tell you what. We'll live a little dangerously here. And the last bit that we have to fill in, we're just gonna put directly on here. Takes a minute for the glue to come down the bottle. So we've used a good amount of this bottle. Probably have about a half to a third of this bottle left. But we also did 3 projects. It wasn't just this project. And I think this was open when I grabbed it, so I don't think it was like brand new, fresh, where we had just opened it. So I don't think it was 100% full. Sorry. My bones were like, you need to change how you were sitting. You are not a kid anymore. You can't sit like that. Okay. So, let us... Oh yeah, I've got way more paper than we need now. Oh well. The stuff that's not ripped, I'll put back in the box for later use. So the non-ripped edge I'm going to try to put up against our Rooster guy here. If we have any non-ripped edges. Some of these, all the edges are ripped. Okay. Get that tucked into there. No, you need to stick, please. And not to the tissue paper. Or not to the toothpick, excuse me. You need to stick to the canvas here, friend. That end got a little too sticky with glue built up on it. All right. Next part here. All right, so after I get all of this in, we're going to give it just a minute to set up. Before I start pulling out the Mod Podge, just to give that a second to dry. It shouldn't take too long. And it doesn't have to be completely dry. I just want to make sure it's started to solidify there. I mean, sometimes it's a little better if it's completely dry, but we are on a time limit here with this guy. I need to get him done. Okay. Next bit here. What are you playing?
Demo to a game. It's making my controller vibrate.
Yeah, that's what caught my attention. I was like, Persona doesn't do that. Well, not normally. Alright. Get this piece into here as best as we can. Okay. So, I think can I get one more squished into here? Alrighty. So technically we're done, but I still need to do our background. So let me grab the box of paper. I have to open it carefully or else everything goes flying. Get these pieces into its location. I swear I just heard voices talking outside. Okay. Give me all of these guys, because I ripped these up so tiny I can't really do much with them. Give me all of our jute that we've cut up here. Try to get all the little bits of stuff gathered up here. I don't need the scissors anymore. You can go up there. Alright, you can go back there. You can go back there. Okay. This stuff's gonna go over there. Alright, let me shake that out. Make sure that we don't have any bits of jute laying around. Because I don't want them... I don't want all the, like, the little extra fuzzy bits getting mixed in here. Alright, so I'm gonna get my Mod Podge. Alright, I'm using matte. You can use gloss, whatever finish you have. Alright. And I'm going to start to lay this in here. It doesn't have to go on super thick. Just enough. To kind of get all of the little loose bits attached down here. Because this is serving two purposes for us. A, it's sealing it to give it a little bit of protection. And B, it's also working as a top layer of glue to just make sure that all of our little pieces of paper here are actually attached to our canvas, or at least to itself. That way we don't lose anybody. I usually have like little triangle thingies that I can put this stuff up on to dry when I'm doing with something where I gotta be touching the edges of it. However, I'm opting not to use those today because it's Mod Podge and I don't want it to, I don't want my little tripod thingies to attach themselves to it. And I didn't really have a good place to attach it. I really use those for when I'm using stuff that's round that needs to be painted here. Or sealed. Alright, so I'm going to work on all of our sides here first. And that's going to give the bit that we just finished a little bit more time to get set up before we come back in with another layer of glue on it. Now, if it really comes to it and you can't get Mod Podge or like the Elmer's school glue, I mean, if you can't get the tacky glue and all you have is the Mod Podge, it does work as like a decoupage glue, so you could use that as your main glue for attaching the stuff to the canvas underneath of it. I will say though, it is very runny. It is very liquidy. So you might have to put it down. It seems a little bit more runny than the Elmer's even, to a degree. So you might have to put the glue down and then kind of let it start to dry a little bit before you try to attach your paper. Like, you still want to put it on while it still has the ability to grab it. So you might have to like hold it in place a little bit if you're doing a fancy texture, or if you're doing like the paper twists, you might need to hold it in place with your toothpick or whatever a little bit longer than you would the tacky glue for it to grab it so it doesn't like slip out of position. So I'm not overly saturating my brush in glue or the sealer, but I'm getting enough on there. And you can see all the ridges in the paper grabbing it where it's a bit of a more noticeable white color. And this will dry clear. And it will take this a little bit of time to dry. Sometimes it can take about a half an hour or longer for it to dry. It kind of depends on how thick you're putting it on. because the thicker you do it, the longer it's going to take. But you shouldn't be too stingy with it either. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this last side here. I might have to lay it flat. Well, I might be able to get my hand up underneath of it. It's going to have to lay flat at some point. That's why I've got the parchment paper down. Just so I don't accidentally glue it to the desk. If the parchment paper doesn't release from it very easily, I can tear it off a little bit easier than I could my contact paper. So that's why we're putting that down, just for an extra layer of I done fucked up. So a little bit extra ass coverage there. Always a good thing to have. Okay, yeah, I can get my hand under there. So this side's starting to dry. It's not fully dry yet. Like, I wouldn't put my fingers in there. I'm gonna leave in fingerprints. And we don't want that. Do you want to work a little bit quickly though? Just so I don't get the Mod Podge taking up residence in my brush. Because you definitely want your brush to be fully dry before sticking it into that, since you're dealing with a sealant. And a water-based sealant at that. Now this stuff doesn't really have any funky smell to it, just kind of smells like glue. Like, you know that like Elmer's glue smell? It kind of smells like that. Not really all that bad. Okay. That looks pretty good there. So it'll have a little bit of a shine to it, but not much. Because I did go with a matte. Okay. Now, start to work on our top layer here. Alright, so I'm going to, probably should start down here, actually give that section a little bit more time to sort itself. I am going to put the Mod Podge on the jute rope too, because that will help keep any of this from fraying a little bit extra. From our little cut ends here. So I am being a little more generous on the rope, just to make sure it soaks into that. And any of our loose bits here get glued down. That way we can make sure it's not going to fray any more than it already is. All right. Now, because we're being a little extra generous with the Mod Podge on here, in this section might take a little bit longer to dry. So do be aware of that. So we are really making sure that our rope is good and saturated here. And kind of the same with our chicken. We kind of have to be a little bit not cautious, but we want to pay attention because he's got a lot of layers on him. So we just want to make sure that we're actually getting this down in the layers so that the upper layers are attached to the bottom layers. Because like these are still kind of like loose in here, so the only spot that got glue was the attachment point to the canvas. You don't have to be as generous with this stuff as we were on the jute, but we still want to make sure that it's getting in the layers. I mean, it is just delicate paper, so it's giving it a little extra protection. All right. Now this stuff I'm just using straight out of the bottle. This stuff's more expensive than the tacky glue, so I don't want to waste any of it by pouring it into a container. And it's not the easiest to pour out of here, at least for me, without making a big mess and getting the glue all in the grooves of the bottle and stuff. So this for me is just easier to use straight out of the bottle. So like I said, this does have a smell. I think Sharpies smell worse than this smells, so, and I'm pretty smell sensitive. So I definitely think Sharpies are a little bit stronger than how this smells. Just to try to give you an idea if you've not worked with this glue before, this glue sealant. Okay. So now that we're putting this on the little feather rolls on this guy, that will stiffen these up. And as it dries, it should adhere itself to its layers underneath, as long as they're in contact with each other. Excuse me. All right. So we'll get this put into here. That should give, it's a little squishy still, but got like a clump in that. I don't know what it is, but I keep grabbing it. Probably just a clump of the glue that dripped it down. It's alright, I'll just remove it from the bottle and put that to the side. Okay, so anywhere if you see a paper twist sticking up where you didn't want it to be sticking up, as this stuff is starting to soak in and dry, I would say that now is the time to go ahead and kind of use your paintbrush to smooth that back down if you didn't want that sticking up like that. I mean, sometimes you're going to have a couple stubborn pieces that are going to do what they're going to do. I have no idea how old this bottle of sealant is. I've had it for a while now. Let's see, does this still have the price tag on it? No. Okay, so I must have got this at Walmart. So I'm not sure how long this one's been kicking around. But it's still liquidy, so it's still gonna do what I need it to. Okay. We just want to take our time here with this. Make sure we're getting all of our crevices covered. Like, you don't need to pour it directly on it. A paintbrush is going to be fine. And I would suggest actually a paintbrush instead of a foam brush, because I think the foam brush is going to get caught on all of your layers of paper, and it might just end up ripping the sponge brush, or your sponge brush could end up ripping what you've done for this. So I do suggest an actual paintbrush. Okay, so now we're going to come back and start working on the background around our guy here. Picked up an extra piece of jute that pulled away. I just didn't want that randomly ending up somewhere in the background, so since I caught it ahead of time, just gonna drop that over there. All right. We'll work on getting the rest of this put in. Around our guy here. And this is going on pretty good. Haven't really had any issues here with this so far. I'd say our trickiest bit was when we were attaching the nest to this guy so far. So that's not too bad. Still feels a little wet there. So we'll just be a little bit careful that we don't move anything around too much. Okay. Accidentally dunked my brush a little too far into the container here, so I've got it up on the ferrule. Should be okay though. I should be able to get it off of there before it's too much of a problem, and even if it does become a problem, it's okay, because I declared this a glue brush. So this wasn't one of my better brushes. I mean, if you're going to sacrifice a brush to the glue sealer gods, just make sure it's not a brush that's going to be shedding hairs. Like, you don't want to use a real crappy brush. If the brush is shedding hairs when you're painting with it, then it's going to shed hairs if you're using it as a sealant spreader. Keep that in mind. You'll be having little paintbrush hairs getting left everywhere. And those are not a joy to pick out. And they might not be pick outable. If you don't catch it fast enough. In this stuff, so And this will just make the colors on this guy pop a little bit more. I am actually adding a little bit more to the edges of our nest here. It still seems a little loosey-goosey. Even though it looked like it was starting to dry, so just want to make sure that is going to stiffen up here. Because the jute's thick, it's kind of thirsty. It's going to soak that up. Not entirely surprised it needed a little bit more. All right. And with that, we are all sealed up. All right, so he is going to take a little bit of time to dry. I know it has that like white milky sheen to it. That will dry clear. Now I will say you might want to test the Mod Podge on a color if it's particularly dark, just to make sure that the dye that was used on the paper isn't gonna suddenly run. Because I did have an issue with one piece I was doing where I think it was either like a navy blue or a black. I was just kind of going to town. I think I was using a sponge brush on that one. And all of a sudden I realized it looked like the dye was moving around in the sealer, and I was like, oh shit. So I had to stop brushing it around and just kind of dabble it on and just kind of let it be. So I would test that if it's a color you're not sure how it's going to react to the Mod Podge. Alright, we're just trying to make sure we're getting all of the sealer out of this guy. So that I can use him another day on our other project that I've got coming up after Christmas here. Be able to test out my paper cutter that I got for it. I'm excited. But we have to stay focused. We have an axolotl to get done. So we are going to be finishing up a little bit early because nobody wants to sit here and watch Mod Podge dry. I certainly don't. We get enough of that when I'm doing other stuff. So we will be wrapping up here today. When this finishes drying later today, I will pop some photos up on it in the socially places. So I'll try to get a photo up on the Ko-fi, the Instagram, and the YouTube community page, and our Blue Sky. So I will be trying to get that done, but this has to fully dry for me to get the proper photos. So we'll do that later. But yeah, we're going to end here a little bit early, and I know it's kind of hard to see our guy here, but he came out pretty good, pretty good. You can kind of see him. He's going to look just like he did before we put the stuff on, just a little bit shinier. So I thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Thank you for the follow rant. Appreciate that. And we'll be back tomorrow working on that axolotl. I might start a little early tomorrow. It kind of depends on how our morning goes. But I'm going to try because we've got a lot of work to get done on him. So, don't forget to follow the socially links down below. There are links to the Instagram, the Ko-fi, the Blue Sky, and the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe over there. We are doing a playthrough currently of Bear and Breakfast that we're not streaming, so that's the only place you're going to find that right now. And occasionally we'll have some other art projects pop up over there. I'm still working on the editing of the 3 Bob Ross speed felts I owe you guys for the end of their projects. I have like 7 more live streams to get through on episode 12 to time-lapse together. I am slowly working my way through that, among everything else that I'm working on. So that'll take some time, but I'm gonna try to get done as much of that as I can. And yeah, you just never know what's gonna pop up there. So I will see you all tomorrow for axolotl time. And then Wednesday, we will be doing Planet Zoo. So, until next time, you guys, have a good one.